Las Vegas is a city designed to distract you, but there are places here no one wants you to see. Beneath the casinos, in the desert surrounding the Strip, and behind seemingly ordinary buildings, there are inhabited tunnels, ruins that have resurfaced after decades underwater, unmarked planes flying toward secret destinations, and hidden laboratories right inside the city. Today, we're going to explore 13 strange places in Las Vegas that rarely appear in tourist guides, and some of them exist right in front of millions of visitors without them ever noticing. 13. The Museum of Erotic Heritage and the Biology of Desire. While the rest of the world sees this city as a playground for adults, there is a specific corner that treats the history of human intimacy with the clinical eye of a scientist and the curiosity of a historian. This museum is not merely a collection of provocative images. Instead, it serves as a massive repository for the sociology of human behavior. It houses one of the most extensive collections of artifacts related to the evolution of human sexuality, including pieces that date back thousands of years. From a historical perspective, the museum provides a deep dive into the Kinsey reports, which were groundbreaking studies in the middle of the 20th century that challenged the way Americans viewed their own private lives. One of the most impactful details is the presence of the world's largest erotic bicycle, a bizarre mechanical contraption that seems more like a strange invention from a mad scientist than a piece of history. This place represents the unique identity of Nevada as a state that has always been more comfortable with the raw truths of human nature than its more conservative neighbors. It is a testament to the idea that in the desert, people have always found the freedom to explore the aspects of life that other states tried to legislate out of existence. The museum acts as a mirror to our cultural shifts, showing how the taboos of one generation become the historical footnotes of the next. It is strange because it treats the most private aspects of our lives as a public record, inviting visitors to look at the intersection of art, science, and the primal urges that have shaped human civilization since the very beginning. By the time a person walks through the exit, they realize that the history of the world is not just written in wars and treaties, but in the quiet, often hidden evolution of how we relate to one another. It is an intense experience that highlights the state's role as a sanctuary for the unconventional and the bold. 12. The Pinball Hall of Fame and the Mechanical Past. If you wander into this massive, unassuming building, you are not just walking into an arcade, you are stepping into a graveyard of mechanical ingenuity that tracks the very birth of modern gaming. This place is home to thousands of machines, some of which are the only remaining examples of their kind in existence. What makes this location truly strange is the historical context of pinball in the United States. During the middle of the 20th century, pinball was actually banned in many major cities like New York and Chicago because it was viewed as a form of gambling and a tool for the moral decay of youth. In Nevada, however, these machines found a safe haven. One of the most fascinating pieces in the collection is a machine called Caveman, which was one of the first attempts to combine a traditional mechanical pinball table with a digital video screen, a hybrid that failed spectacularly at the time but paved the way for the future of entertainment. Another jarring detail is the presence of early 20th century machines that did not even have flippers. Players simply bumped the table to influence the ball, making it a game of pure physics and frustration. These machines represent the bridge between the industrial age and the digital age, showing how inventors used gravity, magnets, and simple wires to create complex puzzles. The hall is a loud, flashing reminder of our obsession with tactile feedback in an increasingly virtual world. It highlights the identity of the state as a place where the old and the new coexist in a noisy, chaotic harmony. Every clink of the silver ball and every buzz of an old transformer is a heartbeat from a time when entertainment required physical movement and mechanical precision. It is a strange, beautiful archive of the things we used to do with our hands before screens took over our lives, and it stands as a monument to the relentless American spirit of invention and the simple joy of a well-placed steel ball. If you're interested in places like these across the United States, make sure to subscribe, because this channel is full of locations most people never even hear about. 11. St. Thomas and the resurrection of a ghost town. Deep within the boundaries of the Lake Mead National Recreation Area lies a place that was meant to be forgotten forever under millions of gallons of water. St. Thomas was a thriving town founded by Mormon settlers in the 19th century, but when the Hoover Dam was completed in the 1930s, the rising waters of the newly formed Lake Mead slowly swallowed the entire community. For decades, the town existed only as a memory and a dive site for the adventurous. However, due to recent shifts in the climate and the decreasing water levels of the Colorado River, the town has literally risen from the depths. It is a haunting sight to see the skeletal remains of chimneys, foundations, and stairways emerging from the cracked mud of the desert floor. Historically, the town is a symbol of the struggle between human ambition and the natural world. The most impactful detail of this site is the fact that you can still see the rows of trees that were planted by the residents, their stumps now bleached white by the sun after being submerged for 70 years. It creates a chilling comparison between the permanence we think our cities have and the reality of how easily they can be erased. Walking through the ruins feels like walking through a dream where the past has been forcefully vomited back into the present. This location speaks to the identity of Nevada as a place of constant transformation, where the environment is both a resource and a judge. The town is a silent witness to the history of water rights and the engineering marvels that built the modern West. It is strange and breathtaking because it is a place that died, was buried, and then came back to life to tell its story. It reminds every visitor that the desert is a patient predator, and what we take from it, the earth might eventually reclaim. 10. The neon boneyard and the graveyard of light. In most cities, when a building is torn down, its signs are crushed and sent to a landfill, but in this corner of the desert, they are given a dignified, albeit eerie, retirement. The neon boneyard is the final resting place for the massive, glowing icons that once defined the skyline of the city. This is not a polished museum. It is a curated pile of rusted metal and broken glass that holds the DNA of the state's visual identity. Scientifically, neon is a fascinating noble gas that glows when high voltage is applied to it, but historically, these signs represent the peak of mid-century commercial art and the transition from incandescent bulbs to the radioactive glow of the atomic age. One of the most impactful details is the sheer scale of the signs, like the massive Stardust sign, which looks like a falling star frozen in time. When you stand next to these giants, you realize they were never meant to be seen from the ground. They were designed to be viewed from miles away, acting as beacons for the weary traveler crossing the dark Mojave. There is a strange melancholy in seeing the broken tubes and faded paint of signs that once promised luxury and excitement to millions. It creates a stark comparison between the fleeting nature of fame and the physical weight of the objects we leave behind. This place connects to the soul of the state because it showcases our obsession with being noticed and our refusal to let the past simply vanish. The Boneyard is a place where the ghosts of old gamblers and showgirls seem to linger among the twisted neon tubes. It is an intense visual history of the evolution of American marketing and the specific electric aesthetic that made this city famous worldwide. It is a breathtaking reminder that even the brightest lights eventually go out, leaving behind a beautiful rusted skeleton for us to study and admire. 9. The subterranean labyrinth of the flood control tunnels. Deep beneath the glittering lights and the ringing slot machines, there exists a world of concrete and darkness that most tourists would never believe. These are the flood control tunnels, an engineering marvel designed to protect the city from the sudden, violent deluges of the Mojave Desert. Scientifically, these tunnels manage the massive volume of runoff that occurs when the dry, sun-baked earth of Nevada refuses to absorb water during a flash flood. Historically, The construction of these channels began in earnest during the late 20th century as the urban sprawl of the city made the natural desert washes insufficient. What makes this place truly impactful is the shadow society that has taken root within them. While the surface world is busy losing money, thousands of people have created a subterranean existence in these dark corridors. It is a stark comparison to the luxury above, where people build homes out of discarded plywood and crates inside massive concrete pipes. The air down there is heavy with the scent of damp earth and something far more ancient. This site represents the gritty identity of our state, showing that even in a place built on illusion, there is a very real, very dark struggle for survival happening just feet below the sidewalk. It is a breathtaking reminder that the desert is always trying to reclaim its territory, and we have simply built a shell over its natural veins. To see the tunnels is to understand that the city is not just a collection of towers, but a complex, multi-layered organism where the light and the dark are constantly at war. The sheer scale of these tunnels, stretching for hundreds of miles, creates a sense of awe and unease, making it one of the most secret and haunting locations in the entire country. It is a place that everyone knows exists, but no one wants to talk about, making it a perfect example of the hidden Nevada. The mystery of the tunnels lies in their silence, a quiet world of concrete that keeps the city from drowning, while simultaneously hosting a hidden population that the world above would rather forget. 8. The Cold War bunker of the underground house. If you were driving down a normal residential street in the suburbs of the city, you would never guess that one of the most bizarre pieces of architecture in the world is buried 26 feet below your tires. This is the underground house, a massive 15,000 square foot bunker built during the height of Cold War paranoia in the 1970s. Historically, it was commissioned by a wealthy businessman named Gerard Henderson, who was so convinced of an impending nuclear catastrophe that he decided to live permanently beneath the earth. This is not just a room, it is a fully realized luxury home with 2 bedrooms, a kitchen, and a living area, all encased in steel and concrete. The most impactful and surreal detail is the simulated outdoor space, which features synthetic grass, fake trees, and hand-painted murals of the Nevada landscape that can be lit to simulate dawn, noon, dusk, and night. There is even a 4-hole putting green in a swimming pool that stays perfectly temperate despite the desert heat above. Scientifically, the house is a masterpiece of thermal mass, maintaining a constant temperature without the need for traditional air conditioning. It serves as a haunting comparison to the bomb shelters of the past, showing how the wealthy planned to survive the end of the world in style. This location captures the survivalist spirit that is so deeply ingrained in the identity of the Silver State, a place where people have always come to escape the constraints of society and prepare for the worst. It is a strange, claustrophobic fantasy that highlights the lengths to which humans will go to feel safe. The house is a time capsule of 1970s decor and atomic age anxiety, preserved in the dark like a prehistoric insect in amber. It is breathtaking because it is both a marvel of engineering and a terrifying monument to the fear that once gripped the entire nation, hidden away from the prying eyes of the neighbors. To stand in a backyard that has never seen the sun is a jarring experience that defines the eccentric soul of our desert home. 7. The toxic canvas of the Wheel of Misfortune. Located on the outskirts of the city near the Henderson border, there's an industrial scar that has been transformed into a piece of massive, unofficial street art. Known locally as the Wheel of Misfortune, this site is actually the remains of the Three Kids mine, which was a vital source of manganese during the Second World War. Scientifically, manganese is an essential element in the production of steel and aluminum, and this mine played a crucial role in the American war effort. However, when the mine was abandoned, it left behind massive pits filled with toxic tailings and sludge. Historically, these pits became a symbol of the environmental cost of industry in the desert. The most impactful detail is the giant color wheel that was painted on the bottom of one of the largest pits by anonymous artists, featuring segments labeled with things like "lose a turn" or "bankrupted." It is a biting, cynical comparison to the gambling culture of the nearby Las Vegas Strip, suggesting that the game of life in the desert is often rigged against the player. The wheel is so large that it can be seen clearly from satellite imagery, a neon-colored eye staring back at the sky from the middle of a wasteland. This place speaks to the identity of Nevada as a state that has often been treated as a sacrifice zone for industrial and military progress. It is strange and breathtaking because of the contrast between the vibrant colors of the paint and the desolate, poisoned earth that surrounds it. The air around the pit often feels still and heavy, and the silence of the desert is amplified by the massive scale of the excavation. It is a place that captures the intersection of history, environmental neglect, and the defiant spirit of desert art. No tour bus will ever take you here, but for those who know where to look, it is a hauntingly beautiful reminder of the things we leave behind when the gold rush is over. The wheel stands as a silent witness to our history, spinning a story of greed, war, and the strange beauty of our industrial ruins. 6. The radioactive legacy of the National Atomic Testing Museum. While most museums are filled with dusty pottery and old paintings, this one is dedicated to the time when the Nevada desert was the most bombed place on the planet. The National Atomic Testing Museum tells the scientific and historical story of the Nevada test site, where over 1,000 nuclear devices were detonated during the middle of the 20th century. Historically, this was a time of strange patriotism, where families would sit on their porches in the city to watch mushroom clouds rise over the horizon like a new kind of sunrise. The most impactful detail in the museum is the inclusion of actual lead-lined suits and the massive B-53 nuclear bomb, a weapon so powerful it makes the Hiroshima explosion look like a firecracker in comparison. There is also a simulated bunker where you can experience the deafening roar and the blinding flash of an atomic blast, a sensory overload that brings the reality of the Cold War to life. Scientifically, the museum explores the effects of radiation on the environment and the human body, providing a sober look at the legacy of our nuclear ambitions. This site connects to the identity of the state by highlighting Nevada's role as the guardian of the nation's most dangerous secrets. It is a strange place because it celebrates a history that is both terrifying and technically impressive, creating a complex narrative of progress and destruction. The museum showcases how the desert was used as a laboratory for the most powerful force ever harnessed by mankind, leaving a permanent mark on the land and the culture. It is a breathtaking and sobering experience that reminds us that the peaceful desert we see today was once a theater of world-shaking power. It is a place that no one wants to show you because it forces you to confront the darker side of American ingenuity and the heavy price of national security, standing as a quiet sentinel of the atomic age. Every artifact in the collection is a piece of a puzzle that explains how we learn to live with the impossible power of the atom. We have finally reached the summit of our journey through the strange and the surreal. And let me tell you, the air is getting a bit thin up here. You have seen the neon graveyards and the radioactive relics, but the places left on our list are the ones that truly define the enigmatic soul of Nevada. These are the locations that reside in the quiet corners of the state's identity, far from the clatter of the casinos and the heat of the pavement. Nevada is a place that holds its breath, waiting for those who are willing to look beyond the obvious to discover the profound. As an American who has walked the soil of every state in this great union, I can say with certainty that there is nothing like the hidden layers of the Mojave. We are moving toward the absolute peak of secrecy, toward the places that feel less like physical locations and more like glitches in the fabric of reality. Prepare yourselves, because the final 5 are where the desert truly begins to speak in a language only the initiated can understand. 5. Nelson Ghost Town and the Tecate Mine. Deep in El Dorado Canyon, far from the polished marble of the resort lobbies, lies a place where the 19th century refuses to stay buried. This is the Tecate Mine, the oldest and richest gold mine in southern Nevada, and it sits at the heart of a town called Nelson that was once so lawless that even the sheriffs were afraid to visit. Historically, this area was the site of the first major gold strike in the region in 1861, long before the city of Las Vegas was even a glimmer in a developer's eye. The mine is a sprawling labyrinth of hand-cut tunnels that descend hundreds of feet into the earth, where the temperature remains a constant 65 degrees Fahrenheit, regardless of the blistering heat outside. Scientifically, the geology here is a complex mix of quartz veins and volcanic rock, holding deposits of gold, silver, and copper that fueled the growth of the American West. One of the most impactful details of this site is the sheer brutality of its history. The canyon was a haven for Civil War deserters and outlaws who would rather fight the desert than the Union or Confederate armies. There are countless stories of disputes over claims that ended in blood, making it one of the most violent places in the state's early history. Today, the town is a breathtaking collection of rusted vintage cars, crashed planes, and weathered buildings that look like a movie set for a post-apocalyptic world. It creates a stark comparison between the fleeting artificial wealth of the modern casinos and the hard-won physical riches that were pulled from the ground by candlelight. This place captures the rugged, uncompromising identity of the Silver State, showing that our history is paved with grit and a fierce desire for independence. It is strange, because it feels as though the clocks stopped ticking over 100 years ago, leaving behind a silent, sun-bleached monument to the era of the wild frontier. 4. The Janet Airlines Secret Terminal. In a city known for its over-the-top promotion and flashing lights, there is one airline that officially does not exist, and it operates from a hidden corner of the Harry Reid International Airport. If you look closely at the western side of the airfield, you will see a fleet of white Boeing 737 aircraft with a single horizontal red stripe down the middle, no logos, no names, and no branding. This is Janet Airlines, an unofficial name that stands for Joint Air Network for Employee Transportation. Historically, this fleet has been operating since the 1970s, serving as the primary transport for employees of the Department of Energy and the military to the Nevada National Security Site and the infamous Area 51. Scientifically, the operations of this terminal are a masterclass in logistical secrecy, managing thousands of passengers every day while maintaining a level of anonymity that is unheard of in the modern aviation industry. The most impactful detail is that these planes disappear from public tracking systems as soon as they reach the restricted airspace over the desert, entering a world of classified research and experimental technology. It creates a fascinating comparison to the millions of tourists flying in to see a magic show, while the real secrets are flying right over their heads on a plain white jet. This location is a physical manifestation of the state's deep ties to the military-industrial complex and the culture of confidentiality that defines much of rural Nevada. It is a strange sight to see these unmarked planes taking off every few minutes, a silent reminder that the desert is home to secrets that the rest of the world may never be allowed to know. The terminal itself is guarded by high fences and intense security, making it a place that most people will only ever see from a distance through a pair of binoculars. It is a breathtaking piece of the Nevada identity, blending the mundane reality of a daily commute with the extraordinary world of government black projects. Remember to subscribe now, because some of the most hidden and unsettling places in the United States are still coming up on this channel. 3. The Akhob Gansfeld and the Architecture of Perception. Tucked away on the top floor of a high-end luxury boutique in the heart of the city is a secret installation that challenges the very nature of human sight. This is Akhob, a permanent light installation by the world-renowned artist James Turrell, and it is a place of absolute sensory transformation. Scientifically, the installation uses the Gansfeld effect, which is a phenomenon of visual perception caused by exposure to an unstructured, uniform stimulation field. When you walk into the two massive circular chambers, you are bathed in a shifting sea of colored light that is so perfectly uniform that your eyes lose their ability to perceive depth or distance. Historically, this piece was commissioned as a hidden gem for the city, a sanctuary of silence and light in a place known for noise and distraction. One of the most impactful details is that the light is so intense and the lack of shadows so complete that people often feel like they are floating in an infinite void, sometimes even losing their balance as their brain struggles to find a point of reference. It creates a profound comparison to the neon lights of the Strip, which are designed to capture your attention, while Akhob is designed to liberate your mind from the physical world. This place connects to the identity of Nevada as a land of vast, open spaces where the horizon often blurs into the sky, creating a sense of limitless possibility. It is strange because it is a place of pure, scientific beauty hidden inside a temple of consumerism, accessible only to those who know to make a reservation weeks in advance. To experience Akhob is to witness the breathtaking intersection of art and neuroscience, a secret chamber where the desert sun is replaced by a man-made sky of infinite color. It is one of the most breathtaking and least known locations in the entire country, a hidden dimension that exists just a few feet away from the crowds of tourists. 2. The silent peak Cold War wreckage of Mount Charleston. High above the desert floor, where the pine trees replace the cactus and the air stays cool even in July, there is a mountain peak that holds a tragic secret from the height of the Cold War. On November 17, 1955, a Douglas C-54 transport plane carrying scientists and military personnel to the secret test sites crashed into the side of Mount Charleston during a blinding snowstorm. Historically, this event was kept a closely guarded secret for decades because the passengers were working on the development of the U-2 spy plane, one of the most sensitive projects in American history. Scientifically, the crash occurred due to a combination of extreme weather conditions and the primitive navigation technology of the time, leading the pilot to misjudge his altitude in the treacherous terrain. The most impactful detail is that the wreckage of the plane is still there, scattered across the rocky slopes of what is now known as Silent Peak. You can still find large sections of the fuselage, engine parts, and twisted metal preserved by the high altitude and the remote nature of the site. It creates a haunting comparison between the peaceful, natural beauty of the mountain and the violent, high-stakes world of international espionage that defined the middle of the 20th century. This location is a vital part of the state's identity, reminding us that the freedom of the American West was often bought with the lives of those working in the shadows. It is strange and breathtaking to find such a significant piece of history hidden in the wilderness, far from any museum or monument. To visit the site is to pay silent tribute to the 14 men who lost their lives in the pursuit of national security, their story etched into the very stones of the Nevada mountains. It is a place of profound stillness, where the wind through the pines is the only sound in a graveyard of cold steel and forgotten secrets. 1. The gateway to the void at Devil's Hole. We have finally reached the #1 spot, the most secret and breathtaking place in all of Nevada, a location that feels as though it belongs to another planet entirely. Located in the Amargosa Valley, within the Ash Meadows National Wildlife Refuge, lies Devil's Hole, a water-filled cavern that is a window into a massive prehistoric aquifer. Scientifically, this is a geothermal pool that maintains a constant temperature of 92 degrees Fahrenheit, and it is the only natural home of the Devil's Hole pupfish, the rarest fish in the entire world. Historically, this site has been the subject of intense legal battles and scientific study, as it represents one of the most extreme environments where life has managed to survive and evolve. The most impactful and terrifying detail of this location is its depth. While the surface is only about 22 feet long and 8 feet wide, the cavern below has been explored to a depth of over 500 feet, and the bottom has never been found. Divers have disappeared into its depths, never to be seen again, swallowed by the massive, lightless labyrinth of the underground river system. It creates an incredible comparison between the small, fragile life of the pupfish and the unfathomable, ancient power of the Earth's interior. This site is the ultimate symbol of the Nevada identity, a land that appears dry and dead on the surface, but hides a deep, mysterious, and life-giving heart beneath the soil. It is strange because it is a place of such intense isolation and ecological importance that it is guarded by high-security fences and constant electronic surveillance, making it one of the most restricted natural sites in the country. To stand at the edge of Devil's Hole is to stare into the abyss, a breathtaking reminder that the desert still holds mysteries that defy our understanding and our control. It is the most secret place in our state, a gateway to a void that reminds us of the true scale of the natural world and our small place within it. What do you think about these three strange places